I always present 5 essentials for successful ranch management, and the second essential is to strive for continuous improvement of the key resources: land, livestock, and people. For improvement of the land, I'm a strong advocate of planned, time-controlled grazing, which is a form of rotational grazing, but a particularly well-planned form. For improvement of livestock, I want to select for cattle, livestock that fit the environment. And with the environment being a combination of the natural environment and what we add to the environment. But because of cost, I want to add as little to the environment as possible, and then have cattle that fit the natural environment with a little help from me or from the ranch manager. And for continuous improvement of the people, I want a well-defined, shared vision that the entire team can buy into, and I want people to then become lifelong learners and to be well led. If I'm the manager, I need to make sure I'm leading well, and if I'm the follower, I need to make sure that I am becoming empowered. And to provide empowerment, the manager can't empower anyone, but can certainly facilitate, encourage, and reward empowerment as it happens. 5 essentials for successful ranch management are: first, your approach to management must be both integrative and holistic. And that, to say it in a nutshell, means that you must integrate ideas, facts, knowledge, information, inventions, whatever, from as many sources as possible that are reliable and good. That can be from a university, it can be from a neighbor that's a good farmer or rancher, it can be from a colleague, it can be from one of the people on your team, it can just come from many, many places. And then when I have all that information gathered, I use it to make the best systems-based decision that I can make, or the best holistic decision, trying to incorporate or understand all of the consequences, intended and unintended, good and bad, of any decision that we might propose to take. Number 2 is to strive for continuous improvement of the key resources: land, livestock, and people, which I've already described. Number 3 is to collect and use a good set of analysis and decision-making tools. And I like to emphasize good financial records and good production records. Not a lot of records, but a few that are right and good and measure what we're doing. And then use those records for better and better decision-making over time. Next is to wage war on cost. That's number 4. And we must do that because of competition. We must put our product in the marketplace at a price that gives us a good operating rate of return, and that makes it still attractive to the consumer, because we're competitors with pork and poultry. And in the final analysis, we as farmers or ranchers are competitive with each other. If it costs me 10 to 20 cents a pound more to produce a pound of product than it does one of my neighbors, he gets to stay in business longer than I do when we encounter tough times. Number 5, essential number 5, is to place an emphasis on marketing. And many years ago, I learned that most farmers and ranchers emphasize only the marketing of their key product, the steer calves or the yearling steers, with little emphasis to what we might call the culls, or the odds and ends. And we can leave $50 a head or even more on the table just because we're anxious to get rid of them. If we can stratify those and place them into wise market groups, we can make a lot greater return on the marketing of our odds and ends. Yes, it seems to me like here in Kentucky, Tennessee, maybe the state of Missouri, where you have many, many cattle and lots of operators, and a good number of those operators are part-time farmers or part-time ranchers. They live in town, or they work in town and have a day job in town. And that job could be any kind of a different job, but they do most of their farm work or their cattle work in the evenings or on weekends. And it seems to me, if I were in that situation, I would want to have my cattle operation be as simple as possible. And to make it simple, I would buy replacements. I wouldn't raise them. And they would not be replacement heifers. They wouldn't be bred heifers. They would be bred cows, so that I never had to worry about calving or rebreeding first calf heifers. As I bought those replacement cows, I could terminal cross them. In other words, I would try to buy a moderate-sized, good, feminine type cow that could have a good calf, and I would mate her to a bull, placing emphasis on carcass and growth rates, so that they would be a desirable product for the feedlots. On the flip side of that, there has to be the producer of those cows. To me, that ought to be the full-time ranchers that have a little more size, and they're raising replacement heifers anyway, and they just increase the number that they raise and that they calve, and that they get alliances made with some of these other smaller ranchers or farmers to take their excess females as their replacement cows and strive to reach a price that can be beneficial to both parties. Beneficial to the small person because they don't have to have yearlings occupying a space that a cow raising a calf could take, and to the other rancher, so he is incentivized to breed and calve a few more heifers. Number one is to be over leveraged, too much debt in relationship to the size of your asset. I think that causes more ranches to go out of business than any other one cause. The second is trying to ask the ranch what it's not very well equipped to do. I see people that try to go into the seed stock business and they don't have a ranch that's very, very well equipped to be a seed stock operation. I see some ranches where cattle have to be fed 5 and 6 months of the year because of high elevation and deep snowfall, and those ranches probably ought to be stocker operations. That sort of thing, a misfit of the operation you're trying to put on that piece of ground in relationship to what that piece of ground's attributes are. So asking a piece of property to do something that it's not equipped to do is a big problem at times. And then operations being too small to accommodate the number of people that they're trying to feed. And that quite often happens in intergenerational transfer. When one of the children wants to come back to the farm and it's been paying one family salary okay, but now when you add the second, there's not the size and the wherewithal to bring the second person back. And have to figure out how to accommodate that, or that can cause real problems.